All the wonderful music in this church. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Shirley. Good morning. I'm Natalie Fleury, and it is a pleasure to serve as the representative from your Board of Trustees today. My pronouns are she and her. And what a gift it is to be together in this faith community that puts love at the center. With love in mind, I want to take a moment to welcome that part of our community joining us online. Wherever we are physically, our hearts and our spirits are one, and we look forward to being present together today. Our Unitarian Universalist faith calls us to take action for equity, justice, and right relations, opposing violence and hate in all its destructive forms. Also in keeping with our UU values, we honor the history of the land on which we gather. What is now known as the state of Wisconsin is home to 12 tribal nations, and no matter where you are in this beautiful state, you are on the sacred land of an indigenous people. Here are a few things to note as we settle into this time together. This is a multi-generational community, and there are a variety of ways for all ages to participate. There's the worship exploration table, where there are some activities for those who are so inclined who like to keep their hands busy. If you're a newcomer here, I hope you picked up a flyer on the way in that tells you all about what to expect and how to connect. We'd love to have you fill out the welcome side of the form that you received when you entered, and we hope to see you in the community room and at the newcomer table in the foyer after the service. And if you're online and want more information, please email us at visitor@uucw.org. There is time for coffee, tea, and conversation for everyone following the service, so find a comfortable place to hang out in here, in the community room, in the library, and challenge yourself to talk to someone you've not yet met. Let's build community together. For those of you in the sanctuary, I'd ask you to take a look at the announcements included in the order of service. Those of you watching online can find most of the announcements through the e-news in your email or on the UUCW website. I'm going to highlight just a few things today. Number 2, please mark your calendar and plan to attend UUCW's annual meeting on June 7th. It'll start at 11:30 a.m. right after the service, and we will be making it as quick and efficient as possible so people can get out to go to Pride. Number 4, volunteers are needed to form the East Property Sale Team. We're forming a dedicated team to explore the different options for what can be done with the property and to start the process of the sale that was approved at last year's annual meeting. So please contact me by May 8th if you're interested in serving on that very, very, very important committee. We're also looking for volunteers to help prepare for next Sunday's Beltane service, and there's some different options to help with that. Number 6. And number 9, there's a vegetarian cooking class on May 4th at 5:30, so you can still register, and the cost of that class is $28. All right, now let's settle in for our time together as we nourish our souls.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Jill Braithwaite. I use she, her pronouns, and it is my honor to serve this congregation as your minister. I invite you now to take a moment to bring yourself into presence here in the sanctuary or online. You might take a couple of deep, slow breaths. Feel your connection to all that is, to the earth beneath us, and to the ancestors who came before us. I offer these words as we move into our time of worship together. Each moment of wakefulness has so many gifts that offer energy and delight. Even in moments of great danger, the direction of attention is a choice. Great possibilities await us, even if all we can see is the cliff before us. Holding reality and possibility together is the holy, hope-filled work of humanity, if we choose it again and again in love. Come, let us worship. And now I invite Natalie to light our chalice as we speak together our chalice lighting words, which are found in your order of service. In these hard times, let us look first to the response of love. In the midst of challenge, may our chalice flame bear witness to the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. In the midst of uncertainty, may our chalice be a beacon of encouragement that our values may guide our choices. Let us look first at the response of love. In celebration of both May Day, a day for honoring workers and the labor movement, and the power of art, our opening hymn is number 109, As We Come Marching, Marching. Now let us rise in body and or spirit and sing it together.
Good morning. I'm going to invite the young and young at heart up front for a closer view of our pictures that go with today's story. There's some cushions up here. While they do that, I will introduce myself. I'm Dave Cicero, Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUCW, and my pronouns are he and him. As an artist and an art teacher, I've learned it's paradoxical. It doesn't make sense, but I've learned that one way to be really creative is to be limited by your materials or by your options and that sort of thing. So it seems like creativity is all about doing whatever you want. But sometimes, as we'll see in today's story, a challenge might present itself. I'm reading today Sky Color by Peter Reynolds, published by Candlewick Press. This is the story of Marisol. Marisol was an artist. She loved to draw and paint. She even had her very own art gallery. Not all of her art hung in a gallery. Much of it she shared with the world. She painted posters to share ideas that she believed in. At school, she was famous for her creative clothes, her box of art supplies, and her belief that everybody was an artist. Yes, Marisol was an artist through and through. So when her teacher told the class that they were going to paint a mural for the library, Marisol couldn't wait to begin. The classroom buzzed with the sound of brainstorming. The students talked and sketched. Together they made a great big drawing. Then they marched to the library. I'll paint a fish. I'll paint one too. I'll paint the ocean. I'll paint the sky, said Marisol. The sky. As Marisol rummaged through the box of paint, she could not find any blue. Well, how am I going to make the sky without blue paint? The bell rang. It was time to put their brushes down. As she climbed aboard the bus, Marisol kept wondering. All the way home, she stared out the window. I'm trusting she'll figure something out. The sun lowered closer to the horizon. Later at home, Marisol watched the day turn into night. And that night, she settled into a deep dream. She drifted through a sky swirling with colors. The colors mixed, making too many to count. In the morning, Marisol stood waiting for the bus in the rain. The sky was not blue. She smiled. At school, Marisol raced to the library. She grabbed a dish and began adding colors, this one and that one. She swirled the brush to make it altogether a new color. She then began painting on the wall. A boy asked, "What color is that?" "That," Marisol said, "that is sky color." And that's the end of our story. Thank you for listening. Georgia said she would light the lantern today and lead us out to our religious education classes. So it's time to go do that, Georgia. Go ahead. Hey, Georgia, the lantern. And I'm going to invite those going to religious education classes today to come forward, please, and follow Georgia and our lit lantern outside the sanctuary doors where we'll get organized. Well, I invite the rest of you to please join me in singing our recessional. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go, as you go, may joy surround you.
We enter now a time for sharing of joys and sorrows that touch our individual lives. This is one way we express through ritual the many ways we care for one another in community. In a moment, you'll be invited to come to the mic to share aloud, or raise your hand and an usher will bring you a mic. I will light a candle for you, and after each sharing, I will invite you all to respond with me, "We hold you in love." If you have something you'd rather not share aloud today, you can use the QR code on the order of service to let us know what's on your heart. What you share here will not be in the posted video of the service or published in the e-news. Now please come forward if you'd like to share. To folks attending online, know that we hold you in love as well. Will you join me now in a spirit of prayer or meditation? Spirit of life and love, holy mystery, may we hear the voice within calling us to ask what's possible, to walk to the edge, to shed the fear and need for control, and dance with the infinite for a while. May we set down the list of wrongs and hurts and see obstacles as invitations for innovation, beckoning our creativity. May we hear each other's voices of love and encouragement. May we hear the cries of the world asking us who we choose to be. May we be vessels of compassion and comfort. May we be vessels of hope and healing. May we be vessels of peace and justice. May love prevail. In the name of all that is holy, we pray. Amen. Now please remain seated and we'll sing together hymn number 352, Find a Stillness. Just a quick note that what's in your reading is inaccurate, what's in your order of service is inaccurate. Paul Tillich proved insufficiently quotable. So Anne will be sharing with us what our readings actually are today.
Professor Wilson Yates is a leading scholar in the field of theology and the arts. Our first reading comes from a journal article he wrote advocating for the arts to be integrated as a core part of the theological seminary studies. Perhaps the beginning place in our effort to educate students and ourselves to the significance of art in the religious and theological life is to educate us in its significance in our everyday happenings. Art is not peripheral, it is central. Indeed, it impacts our lives at every turn. Expressed in high, popular, and folk forms, artistic expression is manifest by the buildings we inhabit, the stories we read, the dances we dance, the music we sing, by the films we see, the knickknacks we place on our shelves, the photographs we take, by the landscapes of our parks and the choreography of our work and play. It may be judged good or bad. It may express the banality of our lives or the depth of our spiritual yearnings, but it is there, mirroring our own aesthetic and inviting us to explore our sense of the artful. The beginning point, then, is to appreciate that art is an ever-present and powerful part of our everyday life. It surrounds us, informs us, angers us, confronts us, and lives within us. It is our ongoing companion. Our second reading is from musician and producer Brian Eno. What is possible in art becomes thinkable in life.
Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses. We sang this in our opening hymn. This song originated during the 1912 textile strike in Lawrence, Massachusetts, as you may know, often called the Bread and Roses strike, and that song is often popularized by Joan Baez, many of us remember, and it's often called Bread and Roses. Art has always played a role in resistance movements. By art, I mean music, literature, poetry, painting, theater, textiles, sculpture, everything that can be called art. Art distills the politics of a time or a historical moment. It provides catharsis. It feeds our imagination, and it calls us to action. Our opening song this morning expresses a demand for fair wages, right? To be sure. And more than that, it makes a bold declaration of something fundamental about human beings. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses. By voicing this claim and making this demand, the song makes this possibility of a world where roses and bread are abundant. It makes that possibility more real for us, more alive in our bodies and our souls, more possible. The art of resistance is far from the only way that art intertwines with possibility. For one thing, art reminds us consistently that the world is not static. New things are always being made and expressed, and we human beings are the makers of it. This applies to both encounters with art, this idea of art as a reminder of the continuation of creation, applies to both encounters with art and the making of art. Today I'm asking us to spend a little time with the idea of encounters with art. Art takes the tools of the existing world, color, line, words, sounds, materials, and arranges them in ways that open us up to new possibilities, that uncover new truths, that connect us with the depth of our souls, as Wilson Yeats reminded us in our reading. I know that many of us might not feel connected to art as a thing in our lives, but I invite us today to consider it as a venue for spiritual enrichment. Here's a story of how art once did this for me. And this was for a class with Wilson Yeats, my first year of seminary, the author of our reading. I'm wandering through the Minneapolis Institute of Art on a Tuesday afternoon when I see something that magnetically pulls me toward it. It's a painting called Crucifixion by French painter Georges Rouault, one of many depictions of the crucifixion that he painted. The painting pulls me toward it, not because of a belief in Christian-specific theology, but because of the nature of the painting itself. It's unlike any crucifixion painting I've ever seen. It's cropped in so tight on Jesus we can't see his hands and feet. It doesn't have a detailed setting or the two women at the bottom of the cross like crucifixion depictions often do. I sit down on a bench across from the painting and keep looking. 10 minutes pass. I can now see that parts of the painting are on layers of torn paper, which adds to the tattered, beaten look of Jesus. I notice how his eyes are a deep black and cast downward. This is a quiet moment of suffering. Perhaps it's the moment of death, a moment right after. I also notice the fields of luminous green and blue in the background, right? 10 more minutes pass, and a feeling of deep sadness has come over me. And then, that blue color seems to newly glow with radiant light. This deep cobalt blue that conveys peace, hope, the divine. I learned later that Rouault had a background as a stained glass maker, such a common color in stained glass, right? This blue, this glowing, radiant blue, now emerges toward me with a force that's equal to that great sadness. And I am filled with the sense that the light of hope is ultimately irrepressible, that the violence of empire is not the last word of this story or any story. The Reverend Anna Levy-Lyons has said that art is like God's Dropbox. He's sending us big files to our Dropbox account. He, as a not my chosen metaphor for God. That's for another sermon. It can be seen as the sacred, bringing us sacred meanings, new understandings, new possibilities. So let's back up a bit and talk about a little theology about how art works as a conduit to possibility. Up for a little theology? Will you come with me for a little bit? Paul Tillich, our unquotable pal Paul Tillich, known to me as P-Till, affectionately, was one of the great 20th century Protestant theologians. He's known for his systematic theology and also credited with founding the modern field of theology and the arts. Tillich understood art as far more than decoration or self-expression. It was a primary way, he claimed, that human beings encounter and reveal what he called ultimate concern, the sacred, the depth dimension of existence. For Tillich, art is a venue where the questions of existence about finitude, anxiety, beauty, estrangement, alienation, and hope are made visible and felt by those of us encountering the art. Artists have a special role in revealing what's the depth dimension of reality in any current moment. In this sense, Tillich argued, and I agree, that art is not separate from theology. No, it is one of theology's close partners in revealing truth and meaning. And I think many of us UUs would agree with Tillich's insistence that secular or abstract art is often far better at disclosing profound spiritual truths than art with religious content. What matters is not the subject matter per se, but the depth that it conveys with the tools it uses. Tillich developed a theology of great artworks as symbols with 4 key characteristics. First, the symbol points beyond itself to something else, right? That's what we think of a symbol as. For example, the Rouault painting points to human suffering and hope intertwined. Second, the symbol participates in the meaning and power of what it symbolizes. Think of the US flag as a symbol. It's not simply a rectangle of red and white stripes, right? It carries the weight of the meaning, the power, all the valences around the United States. The flag holds that weight in all its complexity. Third, art as symbol has the power to reveal the meaning of something which cannot be approached in any other way. Georgia O'Keeffe once said that she paints because she can say with colors what she cannot say with words. And finally, art as symbol has the power to open us up to what it reveals. It moves us. It makes us sit on a bench and cry on a Tuesday afternoon. It shifts something in us as it reveals the sacred and the possible. A couple examples of this symbolic function that Tillich talked about. In Van Gogh's Starry Night, we see the artist going below the surface of data-based reality to reveal the creative powers of nature, the moving, swirling, creative powers of nature in a way that words could never do. Picasso's Guernica depicts the effects of the bombing of the city of Guernica by Nazi Germany and fascist Italy. Tillich called this the best Protestant religious picture of its time, despite it having no religious content, saying that it lays bare the human situation in all its depths of horror and despair. This gives it great religious meaning, again, despite having no religious content. So let's take a minute to look more closely at what happens when we encounter a work of art. What is happening between us and the art in that interaction? Most of us, when we walk up to a painting or see a movie or another work of art, we ask ourselves, do I like it, yes or no? And that's a perfectly valid question, but it's also a limiting question, right? Your relationship with the art ends with a judgment of yes or no. I'm going to invite us for a moment to try something different next time we engage a work of art, to try moving from judgment to inquiry, which can transform how we experience the artwork. Come along with me on a journey. For example, we can experience a piece of music. And we can say, that was weird, not for me. Or we can listen to a piece of music without making a quick judgment of yes or no. We can ask questions like, what do I notice about this? What elements of it stand out? What's happening here? What do I hear? How does it make me feel? What do I think it's trying to say to me or move in me? So let's try that again.
We have been listening to the fourth movement of 6 Little Piano Pieces by Arnold Schoenberg, who wrote this piece in 1911. For hundreds of years before Schoenberg, the ideal in composition was beautiful melody supported by beautiful harmony. Numerous treatises philosophized about beauty in art. What makes something beautiful? But moving into the 20th century, on the heels of the Industrial Revolution and burgeoning global conflicts, composers and artists began taking some pretty big swings in order to capture their artistic urges. Enter Schoenberg, who looked at the 400-year tradition of beautiful melody and harmony and asked, what if this wasn't the starting point? Do we need melody? Why do we need music to be in a key? What is this beauty we've been so beholden to? Who gets to decide what is beautiful? And what possibilities for expression are there if there are no limits or expectations? So with these questions in mind, let's listen one more time. Now, even after having heard this song 3 times in a row, I would be impressed if this is the piece of music you walk out of the service today whistling. But in this moment, what possibilities do you hear?
What we just did there is have a dialogue with the work of art. We came to it with open questions. We gave it space and time to speak to us, to demand things of us, to engage us. We experienced it again with more info and perhaps more questions, and we let it speak to us again. Well done, everyone. You are dialoguers with art. Engaging with art in this way is not only fun and enriching, it also gives us good practice in perceiving possibilities that might not seem obvious, that we might otherwise overlook. I imagine you have some examples of times that art in your life has revealed possibilities in your own life and in the world. I would love to hear about those. I'll share here just very briefly about a few examples of this from my own life. When I was 11 years old, I saw David Bowie and his band on Saturday Night Live in dresses. And I had a really big realization about gender that mattered a lot to my little 11-year-old self. I certainly didn't have the language for it, but I understood at that moment, without language, that gender is a social construct, a performance, that boys can wear dresses, and it's no big deal, and it's awesome. Bowie's art showed me the possibility of liberation from the rigid binary. All right, forgive me, friends. Next up, Mad Magazine. But Mad Magazine taught me a lot about satire as a tool for exposing hypocrisy and greed and bad art. It helped me begin as a tween exploring the darker sides of our world. A much more shimmering example is the novels of Toni Morrison. Her novels brilliantly and unflinchingly explore the experience of Black Americans, including in the horrific violence of slavery. She created captivating stories and indelible characters, deeply researched and lovingly imagined. Morrison said this about art and possibility, quote, "I am a writer, and my faith in the world of art is intense, but not irrational nor naive, because art takes us and makes us take a journey beyond price, beyond cost, into bearing witness to the world as it is and as it should be. Art invites us to know beauty and to solicit it, to summon it from even the most tragic of circumstances." Close quote. I will close with a slide of a work of art that you are probably familiar with. This is one of a series of paintings of water lilies, right, from Claude Monet, a French painter. He made these in the early 20th century. A few years ago, this particular painting was chosen to represent the concept of peace at the National Gallery in London. The exhibit's curator wrote an essay about the painting called "Why Does This Painting Make Some People Cry?" She noted that people often linger for a long, long time at this painting. Quote, "For many, some aspect of themselves seems to deepen in the presence of this beauty. There is often a multisensory kind of encounter where people come more deeply into their bodies, minds, and hearts. Some say they find a deeper connection with the divine. There is a quality of closer looking, patience, and a search for peace." Monet's style was known as Impressionism. His counterpart in the world of music was Claude Debussy, known for his impressionistic style of composing. Each artist, in their own way, focused on capturing fleeting moments, colors, atmosphere, feelings. We'll hear a solo piano piece by Debussy as our offertory music in a bit. Turning back to the water lilies, we notice its rich colors applied in thick layers. Dominant yellow tones with accents of red, deep blues and whites highlighting lily plants, though they really verge on abstraction, don't they? The painting is huge. It takes up a whole wall, and in its center, there is a kind of infinite expansiveness. Yes, this is a landscape of a pond with water lilies in it, but we see no banks, no edges. The painting invites us to experience a serene limitlessness that expands in all directions. Monet worked on his water lilies at his home in Giverny, France during World War I. There, he could hear artillery fire 50 kilometers away, and he worried about his son, who was fighting at the front. He decided the one thing he could do and would do as his response to the horrors of war was to paint. He called his water lilies his monument to peace. His goal, Monet said, was to make things that help people maintain an inner anchor, a sense of peace in themselves that will then radiate out to their communities and to the world. As Brian Eno said, what is possible in art becomes thinkable in life. Art and possibility are deeply entwined. The power of artistic creativity can redefine reality and reveal new horizons. Whether with a novel, a painting, a 25-second piece of music, or a knickknack on your shelf, may we choose to slow down and pay attention to art. May we open ourselves to its power and its possibilities. May we let it nurture us, challenge us, and reveal to us the sacred and the possible. May it be so, and amen.
So much beauty today. Through our Split the Plate program, we extend our reach beyond these walls to support vital work in our wider community. For the month of April, we are supporting Citizen Action of Wisconsin and their commitment to the idea that health care is a right, not a privilege. Citizen Action organizes year-round to expand Medicaid, lower prescription drug costs, and end the burden of medical debt for all Wisconsinites. This work is deeply tied to their efforts in defending democracy and civic engagement. By training new leaders who reflect the communities they serve in defending voting rights, they are growing a people-powered movement that demands a healthcare system and a government that puts people over profits. You can support the Citizen Action of Wisconsin work by dropping something in the offering basket, or, Jill, can we advance one more slide? Go to the UUCW website's Donate tab and select Split the Plate from the menu provided. Or you can text or mail your donation using the information found here. We thank you most sincerely for your support.
Thank you, Ruben, and thank you all for your generosity. I invite us all now to rise in body and/or spirit, and we'll sing together hymn number 326, Let All the Beauty We Have Known.
Let all the beauty we have known illuminate our hearts and minds. Rejoice in wonders daily shown, in faith and joy and love that binds. We celebrate with singing hearts the loveliness of sky and earth, the inspiration of the arts, the miracle of every birth. Life's music and its poetry surround and bless us through our days. For these we sing in harmony, together giving thanks and praise.
Dear ones, may we be seekers of the possible in all that we do. May the power of art enrich our vision and our lives. And may there be abundant bread and roses for all. May it be so, and amen.